Joining us now to discuss BTC price and more is Nick Mancini. He's a director of research at market sentiment tracker Trade the Chain. Nick, always great to have you here. So U.S. stocks are up, so is Bitcoin slightly Wednesday, and BTC is down nevertheless on every other timeline, weekly, monthly, year to date, but it has shown resilience compared to fiat currencies against a strong dollar. So what's your outlook on Bitcoin?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Great to be back. So the short-term outlook for Bitcoin, and this may shock a lot of viewers, is temporarily bullish. We're at a point in the market where things have been so bearish for so long, equities making new lows, and crypto somehow holding on to recent lows that it experienced earlier this month and has not even met both Bitcoin and Ethereum, the June lows that we saw months ago. So sentiment, interestingly enough, just flipped bullish on our daily sentiment tracker for both Bitcoin and Ethereum a few days ago and has kind of hovered around the neutral level. Typically, when we see a large boost in sentiment followed by neutral sentiment, it typically signals a continuation of price action in the direction of the sentiment spike, in this case, the bullish direction. Currently, if Bitcoin can hold this 19.3 to 19.5 range, I would expect 20.2K in the short term, especially if equities can bounce out of the current range they're trading in, which seems likely. So we should see a short-term continuation. After that, anybody's guess is really as good as mine, given the macro environment. But if equities are unable to truly make new lows on the daily charts and crypto is able to hold lows that it experienced this month, that is a good catalyst for the crypto sector, considering we are at 70, 80%, 90% in some areas off highs. Equities are only down, 20 to 30%. So the fact that the riskiest of all the asset classes has experienced such a flush, and sentiment is now starting to pick up where you would expect equities to have some sort of at least temporary recovery as people close shorts and continue to hedge for potential downside. We do see an opportunity in the short term for potentially a decent looking October, although, we have to caveat there's potential for black swans and red herrings all around us, especially considering the move by the UK government over the past few days.
What is the driver behind this bullishness in your view and this positive sentiment? And, to your point, we are seeing that BTC is showing more resiliency than other fiat currencies. Why is that?
So it's multi-pronged, and I think speculation is good for this type of idea. I don't think there's any one singular answer, but to me, the biggest reason is the strength versus equities. Now, you can obviously say, Nick, crypto is down 80% across the board, and while equities are only down 20 to 30%. But in the case of the general correlation between equities and crypto, they're still, closely correlated to some degree, although Bitcoin is clearly much more volatile, as well as other cryptocurrencies compared to equities. But seeing that strength and seeing that we are in a position where equities have bounced in similar technical formations, the easiest one is mid-2021. And of course, recently back in June, when we made a similar formation, we had a small spike from equities. Considering this strength from crypto not making new lows while equities have been on a downward trajectory, you can see from this chart, crypto or Bitcoin is in the candles, equities were in the candles, Bitcoin was in the orange. Equities were continuing down while crypto was slightly making higher highs or even lows. And so looking at this, one has to say, if equities have a slight recovery, given the high beta for crypto compared to equities, crypto should have a nice reaction to these lows, provided it doesn't end up making new lows, if that makes sense.
All right. So, we did see a lot of volatility yesterday in Bitcoin. So is that just because it's following the markets?
Yes. So the volatility, I would say, is more, restrictive to crypto itself, due to the lack of trading volumes, due to the decrease in interest in trading risk assets across the board, the focus on FX, and of course now the bond market is in vogue for the first time in years. There's been less attention towards the more risky crypto sector. And because of that, because there's decreased volumes, because there's decreased activity, it's a bit easier to push things around or create volatility in that market. So if you're seeing heavy shorts happening for Bitcoin at the lows, well, if someone institutes a short squeeze or starts buying en masse, well, those shorts have to close and you create a massive spike opportunity due to the low liquidity in the crypto market. Obviously, that should change as the market progresses and as crypto hopefully comes back in vogue for trading. But given the lack of interest, the lack of liquidity in the market, the fact that we're under 1 trillion, it makes these assets a bit easier to push around. And given, the high beta correlation to equities, a small move in the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ constitutes typically quite a large move in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't think that will change throughout this year. But hopefully as we move into 2023 and we get a little bit more regulatory clarity, more entrants come into the space, that should change a little bit. But I always expect crypto to be a high beta asset in comparison to equities.
So Nick, where do you see the price range for Bitcoin in the short term versus end of the year?
Yeah, so end of the year, I think I would be shocked if we did not at least try and rise back up above 20K before a flush. But if I had to make an educated guess on where we are going to go for basically the rest going into Q4, ending the year, it would be a short-term boost right now, followed by likely a sharp decrease to start or ease into October. Once we have one more final flush, I have a feeling that we'll actually end up on a nice little trajectory into Q4. And I would expect us to be around the same price level or above 20K by the time December 31st rolls around.